Boys, it is about to get spicy in here. Not in that kind of way. We're talking about hot takes today. I know all you keyboard warriors are already heading down to the comments to hate on us, but we're ready because these hot takes are 100% bulletproof, Lucas. We both came up with 10 and they are absolutely fire.
My hot takes are the furthest thing away from bulletproof, but I'm still excited to get into it.
Some people are going to be mad, especially for those old heads.
So we're going to start off with some tamer hot takes, and then by the end of it, these are going to be off the rails.
I told Lucas that he might physically assault me after he hears one of my hot takes.
I said I do that every day anyways.
Hey!
All right. My first hot take is that Yuri Prochazka versus Glover Teixeira is the best UFC fight in modern history.
Ooh.
That's how I feel. I rewatched it the other day just to confirm my bias. Man, the fact that Glover Teixeira gets submitted in the 5th round in the last minute after a 5-round war, it's a banger. It's literally a banger. It had everything. It had submissions, it had wrestling, it had striking on the feet. It went back and forth pretty much every single round, the reversals. It's the best fight in my opinion.
I like that just because like I think with best fight everyone's gonna have like their own opinion. Everyone's gonna have stuff that they like more in fights. Like some people are gonna be nerds for lay and pray wrestling.
Yeah. Merab versus O'Malley was the best fight in UFC history. Yeah.
All right, moving on to my first hot take. It's actually more of a prediction.
All right.
It's that Aljamain Sterling beats Movsar Evloev at UFC 310. I know Evloev is going to be a bigger favorite in that fight just because he's undefeated, but people count out Aljo, like former champion. Just wait. And I can't stand Evloev, so I just really hope that he loses. That's mostly where this take is coming from.
I thought about putting it in there, but then I was like, I don't know if it's a hot take because Aljo's a former champ. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
But in terms of like odds, you know?
Yeah. Evloev, I think, is going to be a decent favorite in that fight. Mm-hmm. Okay, we've started off tame. Now we're warming up. Yeah. I'm interested to hear, what are your guys' UFC hot takes? Ooh. I want to hear Britishers' hot take.
I'm going to go down to the comments and roast all of your hot takes on my burner account that no one knows is me.
All right, my next hot take, Makhachev is already higher than Khabib all time on the GOAT list.
No.
It's because the reason why I have it so low is because we already made a GOAT list video and I already put, everyone already knows, but I had to put it on here because I think strength of schedule matters. Doesn't matter that Khabib's undefeated.
Not yet.
No, yet. Already.
Not yet.
Already.
All right, moving on to my hot take. I don't know how the fans are going to feel about this one, but UFC fight nights inside the Apex need to be shorter in length. They're too long because they're like the prelims on them are terrible. They're terrible. Like we don't need 6-hour Apex cards, you know?
What? You don't love a 6-hour Apex card?
No. Give me 3 hours of Apex, Give me 6 fights. Maybe give me 8 fights, But we don't need 12 fights in the Apex because I can't listen to what? Joel Gomez, is that his name?
Maybe. I don't
know. What's the announcer? The ring announcer?
Oh, Paul Felder?
No, the ring announcer. That sounds like he's I can't stand him. I can't. It actually is mainly the reason I don't like Apex. Like I'd rather listen to it with no volume because he's so bad.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Also, like the commentary is just never as good. Like Joe is not there on commentary, and then you also Dana's never been into an Apex card in his life. Like the vibes just aren't there. And this kind of leads on to my next one.
And no ambience, no crowd ambience.
It's like it was awesome at 309 when you're getting them cheering or they're booing. That added to the card.
Yeah. Even the UFC Paris nights, the crowd is what makes those fights.
Exactly.
They just get hyped for their boys. Okay, my next hot take, you're going to like this one, Dylan. Jamal Hill outclasses Yuri Prochazka if they end up fighting in 2025.
I would agree.
Really?
I'm a little bit higher on Jamal than I am with Yuri.
As much as we haven't said a single nice thing about Jamal in the history of this YouTube channel, this is the first nice thing I'm going to say about him. I think that Yuri Prochazka has taken too much damage already in his career. I think Jamal Hill, he had a long layoff with that injury. I think he can come back. He got KO'd by Alex Pereira. It is what it is. And then he got another fight canceled. So he's had a long time to recover. There might be a little bit of ring rust, but I really think Prochazka has taken too much damage.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. He is going to be one of the CT specialists by the end of his career.
Yeah.
He's going to be up there with the Nate Diaz's of the world.
Because he won't retire.
No, he's just gonna go back into a cave for 6 months, then come back out.
Even like watching the Glover Teixeira fight again, and pretty much all of his fights, even the Rakic fight, like somehow he manages to get rocked every single fight.
Yeah, he just gets destroyed. Like, must have a thick skull or something.
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
Like, it's got one protective shield. Once you get through the force field, you're done.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Another one relating to fight nights. Not every single fight night, main event and co-main event needs to be 5 rounds.
So you don't want to see Marcin Tybura versus Sergey Spivak 5 rounds in the Apex?
There's no reason for that. There's no reason for Rose Namajunas versus whoever she fought at Edmonton to have been 5 rounds. That was so bad. That was so painful.
That's true.
Like that Fluffy Hernandez versus Michelle Pereira would have been a much better fight if it was 3 rounds. You know, there's no reason for some of these fights to be 5 rounds, especially these heavyweight, because they love to put heavyweights in the main event of fight nights. They don't need to be 5 rounds, because if they actually do go to a 4th or 5th round, it's going to be terrible because they're like the 9th and 10th guys in heavyweight, and everyone knows how skillful those guys are.
Definitely. Another one I was thinking of is at UFC 307 in the co-main event. Like, come on, we didn't need to see 5 rounds.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't be mad if women's title fights went to 3 rounds.
Yeah, that's fair. Or even a 4th round. Well, but that makes for too many.
Draws.
Yeah.
But like, we don't need it.
No, we don't.
We don't. It's a lot of the women fights too. Like it's mostly targeted at them.
Women fights can be 1 round. Just stand and bang 1 round. All right, I'm gonna move on to my next hot take. I have 2024 Corey Sandhagen is extremely overrated and doesn't beat anyone inside of the top 5.
I actually was going to talk about Sandhagen being overrated.
Yeah.
Like, I know that me and you are both very low on him, and, like, makes sense.
He's exciting, but, like, he's not actually, like, elite.
Yeah. Like, if he actually fights O'Malley, he's going to get completely outclassed.
I think so.
Like, he almost got outclassed on the feet by Umar.
Yeah, he pretty much did.
Yeah, and people are like, oh, the threat of the takedown.
Nah, Sandhagen, I watched the clip of him getting spinning back fist by Peter Yan. That was beautiful. It's so beautiful. And then that overhand left coming over.
Yeah, it's just like something about Sandhagen's, like, his game that, like, yeah, he has a couple really nice highlight KOs inside the UFC.
Yeah,
but like
Edgar.
outside of that, it's like, what else does he really have? You know, he has some good wins, but he's not. I wouldn't say he's an elite UFC fighter. You know, it's not like he's someone that can actually compete for the title.
Yeah. He was close, but he never got to that to that level. All right, let's hear your next take.
People are overrating John Jones after UFC 309.
Oh, 100%.
Like, it is. I love how everyone was like, oh, he looked great. I wonder if people think he looked so good because Mike Tyson and Jake Paul was so bad. Like, I actually think that's helping contribute. They're like, yeah, Mike Tyson's old. Yeah, Mike Tyson's 62 and old, and he looked like trash. John Jones was 37?
Yeah, 37.
37, and he did not look good. He looked slow. Everyone's like, oh, he looked so good. Like, he did not look that good. Or maybe that's just how good John Jones is. The go to the UFC is just that good, if that's how you're saying that he looks like prime John Jones.
Yeah.
And also, Stipe had no chance in that fight. He was just toast.
Yeah, John Jones looked good because Stipe looked slow.
Yeah.
Like, Stipe, I think it's pretty much exactly what I expected from that fight. He didn't look like he did 4 years ago, obviously. He was super slow. He didn't have good movement. He had actually worse movement than I thought.
He was so slow.
He was just walking around the ring. He wasn't moving at all. And you think about, you watch any of Tom's fights, the amount that he moves around the octagon, even someone like Curtis Blades, when they both fought, they're both moving in and out so much faster than both of those guys. So I think the fact that Stipe was so slow definitely helped John, and it allowed him to look better on the feet.
Yeah.
He obviously could dominate pretty much anyone in the heavyweight division in terms of like wrestling and overall fight IQ, but he felt comfortable enough against an old Stipe to actually stand with him.
Yeah.
That's how bad he was.
Exactly. Stipe, who was a legendary striker inside of the heavyweight division, got dominated on the feet by John Jones.
Yeah, which it's pretty hard to do. Like, we see Dominic Reyes dominate John Jones on the feet. We've seen Thiago Santos go toe-to-toe with him. We've seen OSP go toe-to-toe with him. So, yeah, it's tough. I'm going to move on to a similar take. Okay, it's a little bit different. And I know I'm going to get this one I might get the most amount of hate for. Dricus du Plessis should be ranked above John Jones in the current pound-for-pound rankings.
Oh, 100%. I almost put something on one of my hot takes that Dricus du Plessis was, like, underrated.
Yeah.
just because he's actually really good.
Well, his fighting style just looks like complete hot ass.
Yeah, that's why people. If he fought like some beautiful point fighter, like if he was Sean Strickland or Leon Edwards, people are like, oh, he's so good, he's unreal. Like,
or if he had any aura at all.
Oh, he has no aura. He kisses dudes.
Yeah.
That's what you get. That's what you make. You make those decisions.
Yeah.
You lose your aura.
Exactly.
But no, I like that.
Is that why you lost all your aura?
Just don't talk about it. But yeah. I don't know how hot that is, though. I think a lot of people would agree with you. Maybe not after John Jones's win. They'd be like, oh, John Jones should be pound for pound. It's Tuesday.
Yeah, he's pound for pound number 2.
They put him above Poetan?
Yeah. I thought you knew that.
Live on air reaction to John Jones. Oh, that's...
Yeah, they have John Jones number 2. They moved Alex Perry down to number 3. And Dana White is pissed that Makhachev is still above John Jones. He's pissed. He posted on a story about it. And then who got up into the... Oh, yeah. Marcus McGee. He moved up to 14 in the bantamweight.
Wasn't Jonathan Martinez like 11?
No, he was like 13.
Okay.
Martinez is out of the rankings now. He just got completely pushed out.
I mean...
Montel Jackson is still in there. So, yeah, that's the ranking update for you guys on this fine Tuesday morning that we're filming.
All right. My next opinion... Women's MMA being bad is on the UFC. The lack, I think, especially after what we saw in the co-main event of the Tyson versus Paul, that fight was unreal because it actually had hype behind it. Like, they promoted it well. Like, the fight packages for it were awesome. And then you have women's MMA where we have title fights that get no video packages. They get no hype behind them.
I think it's also a case of that women's boxing is more professional. You know, it's been around for quite a bit longer, and there is like professional women who take it seriously. They get paid a ton of money. How many viewers were watching Amanda
50
Serrano?
million.
Insane, right? So these people are getting paid. They have the best trainers in the world. I'm going to be honest. People like Rose Namajunas, who are still close to the highest level of women's MMA, are getting coached by their husbands.
Yeah.
Right?
I was ranting to my dad about this the other day.
Mackenzie Dern, she's getting coached by Anthony Tricoli, who's a garbage can in the UFC.
Yeah. I just feel like there has to be a way to market it better, to add excitement, to create like narratives inside of these fights, because that's something that we look for as fans is, oh, it's not story, it's not WWE, but we look for narratives, and you very rarely find narratives inside of UFC fights. It's very rare that we have a women's UFC championship fight that really actually has hype behind it. Like, even if you look at 307, the co-main event had no hype behind it.
No.
You know, it was a card that had very little hype, but any hype that there was for Roundtree versus Pereira. There was no hype for the co-main event.
I think Kayla Harrison versus Kellen Vieira had more hype than the co-main.
Yeah.
And I think when Kayla Harrison does eventually fight for the title, she's going to make like quite a bit more hype just because of her name value. She's exciting, someone new in the sport. But dude, Shevchenko, there is going to be no hype for her fights anymore. Like, she's had good KOs, and I get that. I've watched her good KOs, okay? But the way that she won against Alexa Grasso, no one is going to want to tune in for her next fight.
And honestly, that's why part of it, make it 3 rounds. Make it an exciting 3 rounds.
Stand them up after 1 minute on the ground.
And like, because the fourth, when have you ever seen a good 4th or 5th round of a women's fight?
Actually,
maybe Zhang Wei Li.
Yeah, true.
First, but she's different.
One thing I want to mention is that in the Paul versus Tyson card, when we had those 2 females fighting, Amanda Serrano versus Katie something, I don't know.
There's the reason I said the co-main event.
I don't know boxing. I think what the ref did was actually really interesting. Because the rounds are only 2 minutes, that's shorter than men's championship fights. And so the ref separated them super fast to keep the action going. And that's what made it so exciting. You know, you're not having 20 seconds of clinch time because the rounds are only 2 minutes. That would be 10% of the round. If they keep doing that, the round's over. So in men's heavyweight or in men's boxing title fights, they're 3 minutes, which is standard. And I do wish that boxing rounds were longer because I feel like it takes 20 seconds to get going anyways. That's what I like about UFC rounds is that they're 5 minutes. You can really see what people have to offer. But if they do have shorter rounds, like 2 minutes, I really like the decision that the refs break them up super fast. Just get the action going because that's what people are here to see.
I wasn't really paying that close attention, but I know I would like that. I remember at 307 when the ref was standing them up right away, I was like, oh, goody. This is what I like.
Okay, I'm going to move on to my hot take. These are where things are getting extremely hot, okay? Colby Covington doesn't win another fight in the UFC ever again. Let that one sink in. Let that sink in, brother.
I was trying to come up with one for Colby versus Buckley. Like, I was like, maybe this would be the most boring fight of all time. But then it's like, maybe Buckley gets knocked out or
maybe Buckley KOs him.
Yeah. I just don't like either of them.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it'll be nice to see one of them lose for sure.
100%. Just because like Colby, I mean, he did technically win 2 fights ago. I didn't realize that.
Up against Masvidal?
Yeah,
that doesn't count, bro. Come on, Masvidal.
Before he went and beat or lost to Leon, he did have a win.
You can't give him one win and then a title shot. If he wins against Buckley and he gets a title shot, I'm gonna kill myself.
There's so many welterweights. If he does,
did you know Dana's thinking about it? So what do you think? Do you think that's a decent take, or do you think he's gonna win again?
I just feel like there's a chance he eventually. But who knows? He's the type of guy that I feel like won't fight guys lower down on the card.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a guy never winning another fight, and it's my hottest take.
Okay.
And I'm not going to talk about it yet.
Okay.
But I'm curious to know your opinion on Colby never winning a fight. I just feel like eventually maybe they'll give him like a welterweight up and coming striker, and then Colby can just like lay on him for 3 rounds.
Could be, yeah.
I feel like that's the only way that he wins a fight.
I think with Buckley, he has the capability of wrestling that Colby's not going to be able to hold him down.
And he's so big too.
He's huge and he's explosive, so he could probably get out. But it's going to depend on how Colby looks. I think it all depends on how Colby looks. If he looks like he did against Leon Edwards, no shot.
Yeah, and the guy who has a few fights once a year and looks bad every time he does it.
100%. Yeah.
He's the type of guy that I feel like needs to fight a little bit more to get back into it, you know?
I would agree. And you know what? I think I'm going to start accounting for age more in all of my predictions. I know Mike Tyson isn't a rare case. He's almost 60 years old. But even the Stipe fight and the John Jones fight, it really does show that like time is the biggest factor in any fight. I think I talked about this a little bit in my 309 review, but Colby Covington is now 36 years old. I don't think I'm going to bet on him ever again.
Like, and the thing is too, is like, we got to think about it. Pereira is eventually going to get there.
Yeah, Pereira's 37, turning 38. Volk is going to be 37 soon. Or he's 36 soon. I don't know. They're all old. Oh, is it Volk that doesn't win a fight?
No, he's in a different hot take.
All right, let's move on to your next hot take.
Moving on to my next hot take. Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev will not even be close, and Pereira gets the round 1 KO.
Oh man, you're gonna get so much hate for that.
Why?
Because people love to hate on they love to prey on the downfall.
Let me know what Ankalaev did versus Rakic that really impressed you. Just tell me one thing he did in that fight that really impressed you and made it so that he's the toughest nightmare matchup for Alex Pereira. Just let me know one thing.
No, that's valid.
And then we'll talk. I'll come and find you in the comments. I'll expose my burner.
No, it's not the worst take ever. I just think a lot of people have built up Ankalaev in their minds as being a world beater.
Yeah, and he's not.
He's not. He's 19-1, which is a great record. He had a no contest to Johnny Walker. Realistically, if that wasn't in Abu Dhabi, he would have been disqualified for that.
Yeah.
It's not a no contest. You can't do an illegal blow. Peter Yan lost his belt for that, dude. It's not fair.
They love to glaze their Dagestani.
Exactly. You know what? I'm going to move on to a hot take that is in the realm of the light heavyweight division. This was one of my most crazy ones I was saving, but I'm going to let it spew out for you.
Please.
No Diddy. Johnny Walker is still 1 win away by beating Alexander Rakic from a title shot.
That is the most UFC math thing I've ever seen.
Let me cook though.
Okay.
Rakic is still top 5. Johnny Walker gets a random short notice shot against Rakic. Fluke flying knee KOs him. Dana White says, "Listen, kid, you're in." The main event, UFC 313, Alex Pereira versus Johnny Walker.
Honestly, I wouldn't be mad. I would actually want to genuinely see that fight.
Of course. Who wouldn't want to see that?
Dude, it would be glorious.
Yeah.
I can just see him flying for some reason. He just take flight after he gets one hook from Pereira. Flies.
Lifts up like a cartoon, yeah.
Speaking of light heavyweight, are you going to wake up to watch Alberg versus Oezdemir?
Dude, of course. I'm
still I don't know. Do I stay up the whole time or do I fall asleep early?
No, you wake up for it. You can't stay up for that.
Because the thing is, too, is Wang Kong fights on that card,
Wang
too.
Kong.
She fights on the main card, so
It's Dylan's girl right there.
She's my goat. Moving on, my next hot take. Tatsuro Taira is the only flyweight who can beat Pantoja.
Ooh, that is a hot take.
But I think it has merit.
Does it?
I don't think Royval beats him. I don't
Okay.
think a guy like Kai Kara France beats him. I don't think Steve Usyk beats him. I think Amir Albazi doesn't beat him. I think the only one with potential is Moreno, and I think a lot of that comes from how good Moreno looked against Albazi, but how much that was Albazi looking terrible.
That's the thing. It's hard to tell.
And Moreno lost the last time he fought Pantoja. You know, I think that Tyra, even though he lost to Royval, I still think he is very talented. I do think he might even be the most talented flyweight. So him coming in and fighting against Pantoja, I think he is the worst matchup for Pantoja.
Well, and if you think about the age gap and the skill gap, he's on the same level as Royval, taking him to a split decision. I think that's fair to say. And he's 5 years younger.
He's 24?
Or
is he 26?
No, he's 24 because Song Yudong is 26.
Yeah.
So he's 7 years younger almost.
Yeah, and like what? Give him 1 or 2 more fights and he'll eventually beat someone like maybe he fights Albazi or maybe he fights an Usyk, someone.
I think Albazi would be a nice rebound matchup for him to see if he can get his striking flow a little bit. Because let's be honest, he didn't move his head at all in the Royval fight, which is why he got caught so many times. He just blocked with his head, Yuri style. So yeah, I think he's probably the most skilled fighter in that division right now.
And his body lock is probably the most.
It's insane.
It's probably the most unstoppable move inside a flyweight.
Yeah, 100%.
So.
Yeah, if he could improve his striking a little bit, he's going to be a champion for sure. All right, I'm going to move on to my next hot take. Well, we're in like the top 3 now.
Yeah. Surely.
Okay, my next hot take. Leon Edwards will fall outside of the top 5 welterweight rankings within 2 years. So at the beginning of 2026.
I just think if he loses in 2025, he's taking like a year and a half off. You know, he's taking one of those huge breaks like Usman took, or just he's like, no, bro, I've got to stay top 5. Got to make sure that Dodson corner guy didn't predict me right.
I think the reason I predicted this is because he's gonna lose to there's just too much top level competition in welterweight right now. We made a video on it. There's so many. A guy like Carlos Prates, I could see beating him. They have similar styles. I think Carlos Prates has more power in his punches. You know?
Yeah. Here's the thing, though, is that means that 5 guys have to fight above him. You know, like they're not. I don't think they drop Leon. You know, if the 2 and the 3 fight, I don't think that they're gonna move them both above Leon. You know, like I think that they would have to.
But I think Leon fights. He has to fight down in the rankings against someone. He loses, gets dropped to 3, and then everyone else starts fighting above him.
That's fair enough.
Welterweight's about to become active.
It's going to be
active shooter.
I mean, they're not active right now with how no one wanted to fight Shavkat is crazy.
Yeah. I'm surprised Ian Gary, like, I have to respect him now. Ian Gary's that guy.
He's putting his O on the line on short notice.
100%.
I respect it, and especially in such a tough matchup, man. Yeah. Like,
I was excited to see him beat the crap out of Buckley. But
we'll have to wait. Got that. Actually, I don't think I'm coming on the 14th. My 3rd place hot take: Khamzat Chimaev's the most talented and dangerous fighter inside of the UFC. I know I've said it before, but I'm really saying it now. He is more talented than Islam. He's more talented than Ilya. He's more talented than John Jones, than Tom Aspinall, than Alex Pereira. He is genuinely the most talented fighter inside of the UFC.
I think that's a fair take. The main thing that's holding him back is the cardio. Even though he doesn't need it because he gets the first round finish most of the time, I think if he could master his cardio and his weight cuts, he's going to be unbeatable pretty much.
Yeah, like I'm sure that he just needs a little slap from Khabib to smarten up. You know, he needs to be smartened up a little bit.
He's not. It looks like he has matured though in the last fight.
And like really think about like he's gonna get a title shot. Like this is where we have to like actually start taking this seriously because the fans are kind of starting to be back on your side. You know, they're not just full of hate. Not everything about you is can you make weight? Are you gonna be sick? You know, they're actually like, oh my gosh, he is really good. Like Khamzat Chimaev is legit. He is potentially that guy. You know, he's gonna destroy Drick. He's gonna destroy Sean. He's gonna destroy whoever the champion is.
Yeah.
So at this point, he has to really commit because I think everyone's always known he had the talent. You know, he was welterweight Khabib.
Yeah.
You know, and now that we're really starting to see it, like what he did to Whitaker is unreal.
Yeah, it's never been done before.
Like you actually think about what he would do to Adesanya.
It's not even funny.
Like he could come into that fight completely untrained, give Adesanya a full camp, and he would destroy him in 30 seconds.
Jeez, that's a hot take. I'm interested to see what the comments say about that. I think you're valid, but it is also
Dricus fell
crazy.
on Adesanya's foot and submitted him 30 seconds later.
That's true.
MMA math, bro.
All right, moving on to my second last hot take. I'm trying to choose between the two, which is more hot. I think you have this one somewhere up on your list because this is your boy. Paddy Pimblett will be top 5 ranked lightweight by the beginning of 2026.
I didn't want to put anything Paddy on here.
Really?
Because I think that
I thought for sure you'd have Paddy on here.
I was gonna say something. I was probably gonna say it's gonna be champion, beats Islam, but like I just like bias, too much bias with that one. You know, and I think people be like, I don't want people to hate on Paddy. You know, he's such a nice guy. I don't want to hate on Paddy. He doesn't deserve the hate.
Yeah. I think he has a path. He beats Michael Chandler. He's 7 ranked. He beats one more guy, a good matchup for him, maybe a Justin Gaethje, maybe a Dan Hooker. It's possible, man. It's really possible.
Yeah, I do think that there's a path, and I think that the UFC knows how much a name value Paddy has. And, you know, he's fighting the 7th guy. What stops him from putting him in the top 5 from beating Chandler? They're like, oh, look at how good he was against Chandler. Put him.
Yeah, especially if there's guys who haven't fought in a while.
Give him an extra boost.
Yeah.
You know, and who knows what happens with Poirier retires or Gaethje retires. Like, there's guys at the top that are getting old.
But yeah, if he moves to 7th and then we have a double retirement, boom.
Yeah, boom, 5.
Easy.
May as well just hand him the interim belt. My second hot take. Carlos Prates is the best fighting nerd. That's not hot. And he is the only fighting nerd who can realistically win a championship. I don't think Caio can win one. I don't think Rufi can win one. I don't think Gene Silva can win one. People are going to really disagree with the Caio because I don't even think he beats Adesanya.
Really?
I think there's too many holes in his game. But Carlos Prates could actually win a belt.
I think that's fair. I think all of them except Rufi could win a belt. I think what I saw from Rufi, I wasn't impressed. I get that it was a 17-pound fat lawn top, which I have to respect that he got in there with him and he did it anyways, even though he didn't have to. But I think Rufi already showed. It was kind of like McGregor, Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz just like outlasted and got rocked, but got back up again. I think someone is going to be able to do that to Rufi, and he doesn't have the same kind of aura and hype that McGregor has, so he's not going to get pushed quite as hard. And I do think that Carlos Prates just has different power in his hands, kind of like Pereira. I think Caio's going to have a tough matchup against anyone in the top 3 right now. Strickland, I think, probably beats him.
I think so too.
Adesanya is going to be a close matchup. If Caio doesn't be I can't say that word. If Caio doesn't be an idiot and say that he's only going to strike with these people, he could win.
Yeah.
Not against Hamza, I don't think, but against like some of these top guys, he could out-grapple them, but he always says, I promise I won't go to the ground. Like, dude, come on. I'm okay with you going to the ground.
And I think even if we ever see Whitaker come back, I think Whitaker is a tough matchup for Caio too.
Yeah, he's a tough matchup for anyone.
Yeah. I think just because the holes in terms of Caio's defense and his kind of his mindset. And then we also have to talk about Gene Silva. I just think that Gene Silva's great. He's so powerful.
Yeah, he's insane.
Just featherweight is just so stacked. How do you compete if Ilya is the champion for the next 10 years?
I've seen a lot of hype around Gene Silva saying that he's going to be the only person who has a chance to beat Ilya in the featherweight division, but he's so early. He's not even ranked.
And you have to think about all the guys you have to get through.
He's not ranked yet.
No.
No.
You have to get through Evloev, Aljo, what's the
Volk?
Larone.
Volk, maybe?
Volk.
Dan Ige.
There's just so many guys in featherweight that you have to try to climb through, and it's like getting to there is going to be just as tough as beating Ilya Taporia.
Josh Emmett. That's a tough matchup for him.
All right. Number 1, Lucas.
Number 1 hot take. You know what? These are all hot right now. I'm just going to go straight into the deep end. A lot of people love this man. I don't think I've seen a single hater of this man. But I'm going to give you the facts about him right now. Diego Lopez will never become a champion. Ever. Ever, ever, ever.
That just made me a little bit sick.
I know. He might be like my top 3 favorite fighters right now.
I didn't like that.
But I don't think
how
he
that felt.
ever becomes a champion because Taporia is never going to be beaten.
Yeah. I think he could become interim champion if Taporia goes up and fights Islam up at lightweight.
That's fair.
But undisputed champion, I think that's a fair shot.
I guess I should have clarified undisputed.
But they know. People ain't counting Dustin Poirier. Actually, the people
They
in our
do
comments,
count Dustin Poirier.
Dustin Poirier literally won the belt. He won the belt.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's a hot take, but I also think it's a very valid take, which is why I want to put it at my number one, because I really believe in that take. It would be crazy if Diego Lopez just KO'd Ilya.
Oh.
I also hate the edits where it's like, we need someone to save us from Ilya. Like, bro, he's like the most exciting fighter right now.
Yeah.
It's so
We don't
weird.
need to be saved from Ilya.
No.
All right. Mine is a featherweight hot take.
Ooh.
I lied to you about Volk. Volk never gets another win inside of featherweight.
Okay. So he's going to move up.
He potentially moves up, or even if he just stays in featherweight for the rest of his career, he never gets another win.
Wow.
I just don't think he's the type of guy that's going to drag it on.
Yeah.
And I think his retirement fight could be him versus Max at lightweight if both of them are like old, you know.
That'd be crazy.
like that would be a banger. And like
Volk's 42.
I could see him like the cut getting to him, so he moves up to lightweight. But I do think he's a little bit short for lightweight.
Definitely, yeah.
But who cares if he's getting the money matchups against Poiriers and Gaethjes and Hookers? You know, there's more money matchups to be made inside of lightweight than there is inside of featherweight, because everyone in feather just kind of building up their stock, and people in lightweight are kind of just holding on.
I would be worried about a matchup versus like a Poirier, because Poirier hits almost as hard as some of those heavy hitters in featherweight, like Lopez and Ilya Topuria. He probably hits harder than Lopez, honestly. So I'd be worried about his chin. Volk's chin going up against Dustin Poirier. Poirier looked really good in that title fight.
Well, and I think we just look at it inside of featherweight. His next fight is either Diego Lopez or the champion Ilya Topuria.
Yeah.
After that, it's probably someone like an Aljamain Sterling or a Movsar Evloev.
Yeah.
And then when we move on from there, that could be a time where Gene Silva, Lerone Murphy are up in that conversation, and they're trying to get a win over the featherweight GOAT. So it's like just tough fight after tough fight after tough fight. And for Volk, what is the real point of him going and fighting like a Bryce Mitchell? You know,
No.
they're not gonna book that fight. I think the only way that he gets a win is if they do like late in his career, give him like an Ortega or a Yair.
Where he knows like the game plan to beat them.
You know, like it's like, oh, you better win that fight, or else if you don't.
Yeah, they don't have like a lot of power anymore, so it's a bit safer. That's fair. I also think like as a bonus hot take, make the champion, no matter what, make the champion take a contender fight before they rematch for the belt.
Ooh, no immediate rematch.
No immediate rematch.
What if like Islam loses the belt to Arman? You don't want to see that fight right away?
No.
That's true.
Give someone else a shot.
I think it also depends on if there's someone ready.
Yeah.
You know, if there's no one ready, then let's run back the rematch. But in like lightweights situation, if Charles is ready right there. You know, he won that fight against Chandler, so he is like undeniably after Arman the number one contender.
Yeah.
So if Arman goes and beats Islam, let's see Charles versus Arman 2 before we see Islam Arman 2.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for our hot takes for today. Make sure you guys subscribe because we post all the time on Dodson's Corner. We're going to have lots of 310 content coming up.
That's already around the corner?
It's crazy.
Oh, jeepers creepers.
And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.
See ya.